Last week we talked about returning our houseplants to their winter homes indoors. Well, houseplants aren't the only plants that can be brought in over the winter. A number of annuals also do very well inside. And when we bring our annuals inside, they continue to flower well into the winter, adding a nice touch of color. And the color is not the only benefit of bringing our plants inside. We'll also save money next spring when we return these plants to the garden. Now, if you're going to make the move, you have to beat the frost. Early fall is a good time to start preparing your annuals for life indoors. There are a number of ways that we can overwinter our annuals. Plants that are already in pots, like begonias, impatiens, verbena, and our geraniums, can be moved directly in their pots into the indoors. You'll want to remove the plants and make sure that there's no insects living inside the pot before you move them. You also want to cut the foliage back to about 1/3 the height that it's at right now. Just like our house plants, these annuals need to be acclimated or slowly adjusted to the lower light levels inside. We do this by moving them into areas of deeper and deeper shade over the course of 1 week, and then we can bring them indoors. Geraniums are an unusual plant. They can be overwintered without any soil. You simply dig out your plants, and this one's pretty deeply rooted here. You want to dig your plants out and then shake off all the extra soil. We have some potting green here we want to remove. Clean off the soil, and then we're going to place them. You can either hang them upside down or you could place them into paper bags. We're pretty much just going to leave our plants alone over the winter, except you do want to check on them 2 or 3 times. Take them out of their bag or take them down from where they're hung and soak the roots in water for about 1 to 2 hours. The leaves are going to die back, but the stem should remain firm. If you have a plant with squishy stems, you want to just discard that because it's not going to survive. After they've soaked, you're going to return them to their bag or hang them up again until you check on them again later. The geraniums can be potted up in March and placed in a sunny location until they're ready to be moved in the garden after the threat of frost has passed. Now, another way to overwinter our plants is to make cuttings. Impatiens that are in the ground, coleus, lantana, these are all going to do very well as cuttings. You want to take 2 to 6 inches of the stem. If you're cutting a flowering plant, you want to remove the flowers. We have coleus, no flowers, so we're going to also remove the lower leaves. This is something you want to do because this part's going to be stuck into the soil. We're going to use a rooting hormone or rooting powder to help hasten root development. You could find this at your local garden center. Pour some of the rooting hormone into a cup. You don't want to stick your plants directly into the container because if there's any disease, you'll be getting it into your rooting powder. So we're going to put it in a separate container and dip our stems to a depth of about 1 inch. And then you want to shake off the excess powder. If you have too much on there, you might get a callus formation as a big growth around the base instead of roots. Now, there's several media that we can use to root our plants. We want to look for something that's well drained, but also holds a lot of moisture. Perlite and sphagnum are 2 such media that can be used. And we're going to be using vermiculite, which also has an excellent water holding capacity. We're simply going to stick our cuttings into the rooting medium. We want to water these well, but not too wet, and then cover the plants with plastic. Once they're covered, make sure that the plastic doesn't touch the foliage because that could cause it to rot. And you're going to want to check your plants every day, and if there are any leaves that do show signs of rotting, just go ahead and remove those. And remember to check the moisture level and keep them moist. The plant's going to start to root after about 2 to 3 weeks. And once it has a decent root system, we can go ahead and pot it up into a 4 or 6 inch pot. Leave it in a out of direct sunlight for about 3 days, and then you can move it into a very sunny location. Once it is established well, you could go ahead and trim back the tops, and this will cause more lateral growth and also more flowers to develop. You want to put your cuttings and all your house plants that you bring inside in a very sunny location. South or west facing window is best. They'll continue to bloom into the winter, but don't expect as many flowers as what you find out in your garden. But the few blooms that do occur are going to be a welcome sight indoors.
Well, fall is upon us, and the leaves are going to be falling from the trees.